Harry leans forward and extends his hand in a classical gesture of, "Hey man, hey brother," but doing the predator shake, and there's no response from Lee.
While Harry was in Texas, the royal family was in London for one of the biggest royal traditions of the year. You have been kicked to the curb, Harry. You've been pushed to the back. You are no longer just irrelevant in the UK. You really are irrelevant here in America. You don't get celebrity status.
Harry's made his bed, and I think he's trying to show, well, look, I'm having my best life. I'm off to an NBA playoff game, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have the shackles of the royal family constricting what I do. So that, I'm sure, was part of the hidden message of seeing him strutting into the game last night.
So just sit yourself back in the 8th row, act like you are enjoying the game, and have people talking about you being there, because that's all you got here in America. You don't have the real deal. You got the fake perpetrating fraud of a Harry in America. Okay, you don't have the real deal.
Because remember, what remains so central to all of this is the threat, which is that if I don't get that, and he said this again, by the way, to the New York Post on page 6 this week, if I don't get that, then I'm not going to come with the children. I'll come on my own.
Everyone's watching what you do, and you're still acting like a spoiled brat. Get over yourself.
He crossed an ocean. He put on the cap, pulled on the polo shirt, and took his seat inside a packed arena filled with thousands of fans. Yet out of the entire night, the moment that spread everywhere was an awkward interaction caught on camera that immediately grabbed people's attention.
Poor Harry was trying to have some fun, having some time away from Meghan for once, and was confronted in public by filmmaker Spike Lee in front of the cameras.
While members of the royal family appeared at one of the monarchy's biggest public events, Harry was sitting several rows back at a basketball game in Texas. And for many commentators, that contrast became the real story of the weekend. Put the images side by side, and the difference is impossible to ignore. On one side, London. Military bands, ceremonial displays, historic traditions, and senior royals carrying out official duties.
Harry was spotted walking into Game 5 of the NBA Finals between New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs at the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, dressed casually in a polo shirt and baseball cap. And while this could have been framed as a simple sports outing, the timing is what has people talking. Because while Harry was in Texas, the royal family was in London for one of the biggest royal traditions of the year.
Catherine sat prominently during the event with cameras from around the world focused on every moment. It was a scene built around continuity, symbolism, and tradition. On the other side was a sports arena in Texas. Harry sat among the crowd, watching the game like any other attendee. Same weekend, completely different settings. For many observers, those images highlighted just how different his life looks today compared to the role he once held. And that's where some headlines may have missed the bigger picture. Many framed the story as Harry choosing basketball over a major royal event. Others described it as a deliberate snub. But critics quickly pointed out that the situation may not have been that simple. After all, Harry has not attended that royal event for years. The current arrangements surrounding official appearances have been well established for a long time.
What do you think King Charles and his son William will make of Harry's very public trip, his visit to a Knicks game, a sports stadium, on this venerated occasion? Because the Sussexes don't do anything by accident, do they? It's all messaging, as you say.
Because of that, many royal watchers argued there was never really a choice to make in the first place. That's why some commentators believe the comparison itself was misleading. Rather than choosing one event over another, Harry was simply attending a public engagement that fit his current life. Still, the public reaction wasn't really about where he was. It was about how he looked. Social media users immediately began analyzing every photo and video clip.
He is recognizable, but he is not powerful in the same way. He is watched, but he is no longer needed. We could care less if the man showed up or not to watch an NBA game, okay? So Harry is the one losing out big time. big time.
Debating whether he appeared comfortable, engaged, or distracted. Many viewers focused on his expressions throughout the game. Some thought he looked relaxed. Others claimed he appeared tired, distant, or lost in thought. As always, opinions varied wildly online. One royal commentator suggested that public appearances like this often send a message, whether intentional or not. The image presented to the world matters. Every photograph gets examined, every gesture gets discussed, and every appearance becomes part of a much larger narrative.
I think it would be rolling eyes. You know, here we see he wasn't right in the front row. I think he got a ticket. Look, he lives over there, and if you can get a ticket, you know, why not? But again, the sort of PR element of it is clearly showing, look, I'm living my best life.
Harry was attending the Knicks versus Spurs game, and most notably, he had his usual low energy, I really don't care about this look, as if he would have preferred to stay home playing Xbox, like the good old Afghanistan days.
The challenge, according to critics, is that people tend to trust what they see more than what they are told. That's why body language, expressions, and small moments often end up generating more conversation than official statements ever could. As one viewer put it, if Harry is so happy, then somebody really needs to go and tell his face. That comment quickly spread online because it captured exactly what many people were already debating after watching the footage. Keep that image in your mind for a moment, because the conversation surrounding that appearance only gets more interesting from here. But first, let's talk about the seat, because that detail ended up becoming a much bigger talking point than many people expected. This wasn't just another game on the schedule, it was the championship stage, one of the biggest nights in basketball.
Did he understand what he was giving up? Because royal life may have had rules and protocol and duty, but exile, it has its own cost too. And right now, Harry looks less like a royal rebel and more like a man trying to find where he belongs.
Seats close to the action are some of the most sought-after spots in sports, often occupied by major celebrities, longtime supporters, and influential figures connected to the event. The biggest stars in attendance were sitting courtside, front and center, where cameras naturally focused throughout the night. Harry, meanwhile, was seated several rows back. Not a bad seat by any means, but not exactly the position many people expected to see dominating headlines either. For some commentators, that detail carried symbolic weight. Years ago, Harry was often one of the most recognizable people at almost any event he attended. Public attention followed him automatically. At this game, however, he was simply one notable face among many others in a packed arena.
Meghan didn't even bother to pay for nice seats, so Harry was relegated to I think it was the 8th row, or maybe Meghan wanted to make sure that Harry didn't have any opportunity to pinch any player.
That's why the seating arrangement generated so much discussion online. Some people saw nothing unusual about it. Others viewed it as another example of how dramatically his public role has changed over the years. But the seat itself wasn't what really captured people's attention. It was an interaction that happened nearby. Now, watch the footage closely and you'll see why so many viewers started debating it. Harry appeared to be greeting people around him and exchanging brief conversations throughout the evening. Then, cameras caught a moment involving filmmaker Spike Lee, and suddenly social media had a brand new mystery to analyze.
Even in America, you'll get some status to make you feel like you got some clout, but you don't really have it going on like that here, okay? Now, this detail may seem small, but symbolically, it says a lot. It says a lot about Harry's status, because Harry used to walk into rooms as a senior royal prince, but no more. That has essentially been stripped away from him. Now, he is being photographed at an NBA game while celebrities get the better seats. This is not an insult. That is the reality, because he certainly was not in one of the better seats.
The interaction lasted only seconds, but online viewers immediately began breaking down every movement, expression, and gesture. That's what happens when cameras are constantly rolling and millions of people are watching. Spike Lee leaned in to speak with Harry, and some viewers felt the exchange looked more serious than expected. Others argued it was simply a normal conversation taken out of context. Without hearing every word, nobody really knows exactly what was said. Still, the internet did what the internet always does. Every frame was studied, Every expression became evidence for one theory or another. Body language experts, royal commentators, sports fans, and casual viewers all jumped into the discussion. At one point, Harry appeared to extend a greeting gesture while continuing the conversation. The exchange looked brief, slightly awkward to some observers, and completely normal to others. Depending on who was analyzing the footage, the same moment told two completely different stories. That's why public appearances can become so complicated. A few seconds of video can create days of headlines, especially when famous people are involved.
Now, the situation gets even more tense because we can finally see Lee's right hand, which is now right next to himself. And why is that important? Because we know that he had finally caught Harry's attention, and if this was a friendly exchange, they would be shaking hands, correct? And Lee's left hand is still concealed behind his back.
What made this particular moment even more interesting was that Spike Lee has spoken publicly in the past about encounters involving members of the royal family. Because of that history, some commentators immediately began wondering whether there was more to the interaction than viewers could see on camera. Was it a friendly exchange, a serious conversation, an inside joke, a misunderstanding blown out of proportion? Nobody watching from the outside could say for certain. But one thing is undeniable. Those few seconds generated almost as much discussion online as the game itself. And that's exactly why people kept replaying the footage over and over again, searching for clues that may not even have been there in the first place. As it turns out, the story connected to Spike Lee's comments goes back much further than that night. In fact, he previously shared a similar story involving Prince William years earlier, which is why this latest interaction immediately caught the attention of so many royal watchers.
Now, it is true that men can sometimes be rough to each other, especially when there is a lot of camaraderie between them, and two men can have these fake confrontations just to release it into a friendly greeting, which is actually a trope in movies and TV shows. But what you see in every single one of those instances is something entirely missing here.
The story making the rounds is an unusual one. According to comments that have resurfaced over the years, Harry allegedly once used Spike Lee's name as part of an online account. Spike Lee himself has joked that he never fully understood why. Out of all the names available, why choose that one? It's the kind of detail that immediately grabs attention because it sounds so unexpected. What made the claim even more interesting to critics is the contrast it created.
Well, Harry is someone who has a weak backbone. He doesn't really represent anything at this point. It's very symbolic to his current position. He doesn't represent real royalty. He can't even come to America and pretend to represent somewhat of an American team that he finds favor in because, you did get tickets to the game.
Harry has spent years speaking publicly about online behavior, digital responsibility, and the impact of anonymous activity on the internet. Because of that, many people saw the story as ironic, whether it was serious, misunderstood, or simply blown out of proportion. And once the clip started circulating online, reactions came flooding in. Social media users immediately began connecting it to other public moments from the past. Some criticized Harry's tendency to be overly familiar during public appearances, pointing to various interactions that had already sparked debate among viewers. Others focused on the broader issue of personal space and public perception. In today's world, every gesture gets analyzed. A handshake, a pat on the shoulder, a quick greeting.
And in fact, Spike Lee already said exactly that. He was reminiscing about the time that he met Prince William, and he said that one question that he asked the future king was that he found out that Harry was using the name Spike Lee for a fake Facebook account.
Everything becomes a topic of discussion once cameras are involved. That's exactly what happened here. The internet, of course, responded the way it always does. Memes appeared, nicknames spread, comment sections exploded with opinions from every possible angle. Some people defended him, others were far less forgiving. Within hours, the conversation had become much bigger than the original clip itself. Critics argued that the footage added to a growing public image problem. Fair or not, they claimed that every appearance now seems to generate another round of questions about his choices, his direction, and his place in public life.
But this time, Harry was solo. And that only fuels more speculation that Harry is increasingly being seen separately from Meghan at certain events, especially events that are connected to veterans. Invictus and public service. And I think that matters because Invictus is one of the few remaining areas where Harry still has genuine credibility.
One observation that appeared repeatedly online had nothing to do with the game itself. It was about how alone he seemed. While thousands of fans celebrated around him, many viewers noticed he appeared isolated in the crowd despite being surrounded by people. Then came another detail that generated discussion. The team won a historic game, sparking huge celebrations among fans. Yet many commentators noted that Harry appeared to leave the spotlight without any obvious family members or close personal companions beside him. Whether that observation is meaningful or not, people talked about it endlessly. For some royal watchers, the comparison wasn't really about basketball at all, it was about public image. On one side, there were widely shared photographs of William attending sporting events and public appearances with family members over the years. On the other side was Harry attending a major event on his own.
Prince Harry is continuing to try and negotiate, or I would use another phrase here, bully to hell, the king in public over this summer visit. And I'm sick of it because it's like, when are you going to learn, man, that it is completely inappropriate and unacceptable?
That contrast became a talking point across social media, even though the situations were completely different. People naturally compare images, and those comparisons often create narratives that take on a life of their own. Critics also pointed out that Harry has often spoken about the importance of family, presence, and personal connection. Because of that, every public appearance now gets examined through that lens. Supporters see a man living his own life. Critics see inconsistencies. The debate never seems to end. And that's why this particular appearance generated so much attention. It wasn't really about the game, the crowd, or even the awkward interaction that started the discussion. It was about the same question that seems to follow Harry everywhere now. A question audiences continue asking every time he steps into the spotlight.
I think by dint of the fact that the health issues that have surrounded not only the King and the Princess of Wales, I think it has brought the unit much closer. And we saw some pictures of that. The palace released some Instagram footage yesterday. There does seem to be an increasing bond between the two because the King understands, I suppose, his own mortality.
One question keeps coming up among royal commentators and online observers alike. If family is such an important part of Harry's public message, why does every major appearance seem to reignite the same debate? Because according to many analysts, the basketball game was never really the main story. The bigger issue unfolding at the same time involved reports about Harry's ongoing concerns regarding security arrangements in the United Kingdom. That subject has remained one of the most controversial parts of the royal dispute for years. Critics have become increasingly outspoken about it. Some argue that public discussions surrounding security, travel, and family visits have created the impression of a much larger negotiation taking place behind the scenes. Supporters strongly disagree, saying Harry is simply seeking protections he believes are necessary.
If Harry really cared about the king and really wanted to allow the king to have a meeting with his two grandchildren who he has zero relationship with, then it's so simple, P. Diner, what he could do. And I actually believe this could be done in total secrecy as well, without the press needing to know at all. Harry could fly. I mean, he flies by private jet all the time. All the time.
Either way, the issue continues to dominate headlines. Reports have repeatedly suggested that Harry would like stronger security arrangements when visiting Britain with his family. At the same time, questions continue about what role, if any, the royal family can play in decisions that ultimately involve government agencies and official procedures. For many observers, that is where the debate becomes especially complicated. The public often sees the monarchy as having influence over everything, while constitutional realities can be very different. That's why discussions around security have become so politically sensitive. Some commentators have also pointed out that there are other ways private family meetings could potentially take place without large public appearances. They argue that quiet visits, away from cameras and media attention, would likely attract far less controversy than highly public disputes over official protection. Whether that view is fair or not, it remains a common argument among critics.
Harry will always keep wanting more and more if his father gives. Now, I have heard that a decision has been made. We just don't know what it is, right? So they are definitely going to, I think, I don't know, announce something maybe soon, but Harry's in a position now where he's just trying to force his father's hand.
Others believe the disagreement has become symbolic. In their view, the issue is no longer just about logistics or travel arrangements. Instead, it has come to represent larger questions about status, independence, public roles, and what life after royal duties is supposed to look like. That's why every development gets analyzed so intensely. People aren't just debating security, they're debating what it represents. According to several royal commentators, recent signals suggest there's little sign of movement from either side. Publicly, positions appear largely unchanged, and the distance between the two camps remains significant. Critics argue that giving in to demands rarely ends a disagreement. Supporters counter that compromise is the only way disputes are ever resolved. The divide in public opinion remains as sharp as ever. The conversation has also sparked broader discussions about family relationships and the importance of time.
He wanted freedom, but he also seems to want the importance that came with the role he left behind. He wanted privacy, but the public appearances still become headlines, and he knows that. Do you think Harry is sitting at a basketball game because he really wants to be there? He's really invested in the game and the outcome? No.
Many observers have reflected on how quickly circumstances can change and how difficult it can be to repair strained relationships once years have passed. That theme appears again and again whenever the royal story is discussed. Opportunities come and go. Moments pass. And once certain chapters close, reopening them can become far more difficult than anyone expected. For some commentators, that's what makes the situation so compelling. It isn't simply a story about public appearances or media coverage. It's about choices, consequences, and the long shadow cast by decisions made years earlier. Harry once spoke openly about wanting a different life and greater freedom outside the royal system. Supporters view that decision as courageous and necessary. Critics see it very differently. Either way, the choice changed the course of his life permanently. Today, every public appearance seems to carry that history with it.
So once again, they're trying to keep themselves relevant, while yesterday was the main purpose of the royal family. And actually, one or two people said to me yesterday, such a shame, because actually, if they had stayed within the royal family, perhaps it would have given, there would have been an extra dimension to it, and could see that where the future of the royal family lay.
Whether he's attending a sporting event, giving an interview, or appearing at a public engagement, the same questions follow close behind. Meanwhile, the royal family continues carrying out official duties, public events, and long-standing traditions. That contrast is what many headlines focus on because it creates such a striking visual comparison. And perhaps that's why the basketball game attracted so much attention in the first place.
But the bigger story is what that appearance represents. A prince who once stood on the balcony of Buckingham Palace is now being photographed in the crowd in Texas while the royal family carries on without him. And maybe that is the clearest picture of Harry's new life. He finally got his freedom, but the question is, did he understand what he was giving up?
It wasn't really about sports. It became another snapshot in a much larger story, one that continues generating debate, speculation, and endless commentary with every new chapter that unfolds. Got something to say about this? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get into it. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Tap that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it.